And we're live. Hello and welcome to the Football Podcast for Sunday, 17th of January. I'm joined as always by a certain Adam Galau to discuss the hottest stories surrounding the footballing world.
Hello, Theo. It is a pleasure to be here, as always, and without further ado, let us commence this podcast.
Indeed, in today's edition of the Football Podcast, we'll be covering some Premier League results on Saturday and today, along with one hot topic.
But before we continue, if you are enjoying our content, we would really appreciate a like, subscribe, and if you could turn on the post notification bell, it would be great. But we do continue with the Premier League results. So far, it is 5:11 in the afternoon as we speak, and Wolverhampton started off the match day by defeating West Bromwich. They were defeated by West Bromwich Albion 3-2, followed by Leeds losing at home the same way that Wolves did, the same margin, but it was 1-0 to Brighton. Then West Ham beat Burnley at home 1-0, and Fulham lost to Chelsea at home 1-0. Do you want to give the remaining fixtures, Theo?
With pleasure, Adam. Leicester won 2-0 at home against Southampton. And just now we have Sheffield United, who have just lost to Tottenham. And right now we've got Liverpool and Manchester United, the top two right now, battling it out, seeing who's going to control the summit of the Premier League in January. So that's 0-0 right now, but I will get a notification if there's a change to that scoreline. So we'll have to see, and at the end of the episode, we'll give our predictions on how that game will end. Adam, any fixtures you'd like to briefly talk about?
I don't think there were any surprises this week. I think Tottenham winning was unsurprising. Leicester winning was unsurprising. Chelsea won by a narrow margin, but the form they've been in is unsurprising that happened. I just don't think there was anything out of the ordinary this week. But
I agree. I will point out, I think, Wolves versus West Brom, Black Country derby, and Big Sam back in the Premier League and instant impact. Pretty dramatic game. 2 penalties, Mateus Pereira tucking both of them away smartly. And West Brom beating Wolves, is that a sign of them maybe potentially staying up this season? They are currently 19th, so it's looking pretty dire for them, but I think change of manager was necessary, and we'll see what they can do in the coming weeks. So yeah, I think that was the only one I really wanted to pick out.
Yep. But that takes us on to our hot topic of this week, which is why do you think have Chelsea been underperforming, specifically their new signings this season? They just haven't been great. Why do you think that's the case, Theo?
Yeah, as a Chelsea fan, I think it's really disappointing to see such big players have a rough start. I think they have a lot of excuses for this year, which works out very conveniently for them. So we're looking at the likes of Timo Werner, Kai Havertz. I think we can't say Ziyech yet because Ziyech had an instant impact, to be quite honest, and was kind of pivotal really in that November hot streak. So I think just the two Germans, not to be too racist or anything, but yeah, Kai Havertz and Timo Werner seem to be the two of the bunch. I think the rest of them have been great. I think Chilwell looks like he's been a Chelsea player for ages. Mendy slotted in there perfectly. He started off really well, made a few mistakes, but got back on the clean sheet road yesterday. I think that was really good for him. So I think the players that we brought in on the back line, I think, have done really, really well, and I've been really pleased with what they've done. I'm really happy with Thiago Silva, really mentoring Kurt Zuma, we're seeing the benefits as we discussed previously. And I think Werner and Havertz are interesting because I think there was a greater expectation on their shoulders because they're young players still, but they've had such talent and success in the Bundesliga. So I think there was a lot of expectation. I think the Chelsea signings who were less established have less pressure, and I think that benefited the likes of Chilwell, the likes of Mendy, the likes of Ziyech. Though we know about Ziyech's ability, but obviously doesn't get worldwide recognition such as Werner or Havertz. So I think that was easier for those kind of players. But we can't say anything too soon about Werner or Havertz. I think, Havertz got COVID. I think, we know he got a very bad form of it. Lives, never had to be hospitalized, but got it very rough. So that has affected his football in the short term. But I think the fact that they're being benched recently, I think that's gonna teach them a lesson. I think they're gonna look back on this and they're gonna say, I need to up the ante. I need to bring more to the table. Obviously, they haven't had much time, but I think this is a long-term Chelsea squad. I think it was a bit of a long shot saying, "Oh, Chelsea are going to win the Premier League." Depending on if we have a big major turn of form, that win against Fulham yesterday was tough, but I think it was important that we came away with 3 points. So, if we have a turn of form, we could do again. In the Premier League, we could do another one. We could have another November. We could have 2 Novembers. Who knows? But we could have another December, and we do not want another December. So I think January is telling us that Chelsea may not. And I think they have an easier run, and I think that's what we need. I'm gonna check. We do have a very straightforward FA Cup run right now, so that's crucial. So I think, I think it's important that.
Well, I think, yeah, it's just the fact that I think one of the key factors is that neither had sides. They were in teams where they were the star event of that teams, and that basically they were the main show. The team revolved around them. There was no competition. They were the undisputed best players at that team. Timo Werner, Leipzig, and Kai Havertz. And remind me where he was, Theo.
Kai Havertz was at Bayer Leverkusen.
Exactly, Leverkusen. So yes, they were surrounded by quality players, but now they've taken a huge step up. Along with that is the expectation to perform week in, week out. At such a young age, not all players can deal with that. As we have seen, some players have completely risen to signings in the past. Kylian Mbappe, aged 18, signs for PSG for huge transfer fees, 160 million. Huge expectation on his shoulders, but he integrated well into the PSG team because I think he was still a bit at the beginning under the shadow of Neymar, and so he clearly dealt with the pressure, and it even made him better. But lately, some players just can't deal with the expectation that's put on their shoulders, and we're seeing the full effect of it right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think though, if we look at case study and example, Christian Pulisic, for example, I think obviously hasn't had the same kind of spark this season, but we've seen lots of it. Not necessarily showing up in the stats, but on the pitch. So the goals and assists will come from him, I'm sure of it. But I think he didn't start all that well. He had a little bit of a purple patch, but injuries had other ideas for him. And then lockdown came. And then he had a really, really great one where, he was absolutely playing brilliantly. Christian Pulisic.
Yeah, he was unplayable.
Yeah, he was. I remember him nutmegging Virgil van Dijk, was it? Who, against Liverpool. And then playing Tammy Abraham in for 4-2. That was a great game. But I think the important thing is that he didn't have an ideal first half to the season. So I think, but now he's looking like a Premier League player rather than a Bundesliga player. And he came from the Bundesliga. As I just said, he came from Dortmund. But he wasn't as established. So I think the weight was less on him. And there was no Hazard, so there wasn't exactly a star in that Chelsea team. But now there is, and I think sometimes it's just fighting for the limelight or trying to not be in the limelight right now. But I think this is a long-term Chelsea team, so I'm sure that next season and the season to come, there'll be a very, very strong side that will challenge Liverpool and the likes of other teams, like Man City. Adam, any other thoughts?
No, I think we've covered all that there is to say, really. Of course, there is that playing style and how they fit in. Timo Werner has been played wide. He's more of a center forward when he was at Leipzig. I mean, that's a minor thing. Great players can adapt under different coaches. But I think they need time to integrate, and the expectation placed on them at such a young age, I think it got to their heads, and that's why they're underperforming.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And we'll just finish by giving our predictions for Liverpool Man United. It's 0-0 at halftime. So Adam, what are you thinking?
This is a bit of a funny one here, but I can see my neighbor at the moment watching the Liverpool Man United game. So I've been spectating it from my bedroom window. But I think that's a complete off-topic point, but I just thought I'd point that out. And also, I think that it's going to be 2-1 to Liverpool. I think that United will strike early in the second half, and then Liverpool will pull one back immediately, and there'll be some late drama. I think that's for sure.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna say I'm gonna be a little more ambitious here, risky one. I'm gonna say 3-2 to Liverpool. My reason for that, I think it's gonna be an early second half goal. I can't say who it will be, but whoever scores it, the other team will equalize straight after. When we think the floodgates are open, they're gonna score a second no equalizer, and it's gonna be 1-1 early in the half, and then it's gonna turn out to be an absolute classic. Hopefully, I really don't want this to be a 0-0. That would be tragic.
That would be. And on that note, I think we may conclude our podcast here. Before you go, don't forget to like and subscribe, and do all that. Turn on the post notification as well. Feel free to share it with people you know are interested in football. And goodbye from me, and
goodbye from me, guys. Thank you, guys. And also, one last note. Don't forget to watch our revised Premier League predictions on Tuesday. So stay tuned for that one. But otherwise, bye-bye. Thank you, guys. Bye.